Hi everybody, and welcome back to Daniellability. As you know, if you follow me on Instagram, yesterday I attended a wine tasting at a local historic home, and it was a beautiful event. It was perfect weather and the whole night was just super fun. I love attending summer events like that and just being able to be outside and do things in the community, but events like that definitely are not without their challenges. I wanted to do a video about this because I'm not sure that it's something that people really think about or really consider unless they are someone who uses a wheelchair or they are with somebody who uses a wheelchair. This is in no way to bash the event or the place that it was held. It's one of my absolute favorite places in Ohio, and so this is in no way to reflect negatively on that event or on the people who organized it, but I think it's really important to have conversations like this so that hopefully people can become more aware and hopefully things can change. So when we first arrived at the event, the first thing that happened is we were given a glass of champagne, which was super fun. It felt super classy and just very summer event type thing. But the one problem is that I can't really wheel when I'm holding something, especially if it's a beverage, because it will spill. And even if somebody is pushing me, you know, there's still the risk that it's gonna spill, especially when I'm being wheeled over grass or any kind of, you know, pavement that is not smooth, any kind of surface that isn't a smooth surface. It's gonna be bumpy and I could spill, which I knew going into the event, so it wasn't a big deal. It was something that I was kind of prepared for, and I was with my family, so thankfully they were obviously willing to help me out and carry mine for me. But it's just something to consider with an event like that. And speaking of grass, even though there are several areas around the estate that are paved, the main portion of the event took place in a garden that is grassy, and it's very thick grass. And so it was very difficult for me to get around. My dad pushed me around for the majority of the night because he's awesome, but people don't always have that option. And there's really a very simple solution to this. They could have had all of the vendors and different tents on the paved areas, and then people could still stroll around the grounds and go in the gardens if they would like to, as they're sipping their wine and eating their food. It would make it accessible, but people obviously would still have the option to enjoy the gardens and that kind of thing. And the second main area where there were more tents and things like that was down several steps. And so again, my dad had to bump me down the steps to get there. And again, they could have just put all of those tents and the vendors in one place that is accessible, and then people can go anywhere throughout the grounds that they would like to. Now, scattered throughout the areas with the vendors and tents were tables, but they were all high top tables, which is fine for most people, but for me, I'm much lower, and so it's not only uncomfortable having to constantly reach up to put my whatever I have on the table, but I also am having to look up the whole time at whoever I'm with. And so a very simple solution to this would just be to have different kinds of tables so that if people want to sit, they can sit. If people want to stand, they can stand, and giving people that option. It's not something that would take away from the feel of the event, and it would actually give everybody more options, whether they are in a wheelchair or they are older and they want to sit because it's uncomfortable to stand for long periods of time, or even if they're not older, I think there are some people who just prefer to sit than stand. So that's just a couple of different things I wanted to point out that I'm not sure that people necessarily think about when they are at an event like that. I think that there are easy ways to make things more comfortable for everybody and still make it a beautiful and enjoyable event. Even though it still was, there are definitely things that could have been better and made better for everybody involved. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit of insight into just a situation that could be made more accessible, but just it wasn't thought about, and that happens a lot when they don't include somebody in the planning of an event that would think through these things and consider not just one kind of group of people. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And as I've mentioned before, I do have a Patreon page if you would like to contribute to my work, and there's a link to that in the description below. And I will see you guys next time.